it's a relatively new feature. I was one of the first people to embrace social media. I think I was one of the first journalists to actually go onto Twitter. I was one of the,
Much against my warning.
much against your warning, and I've stayed there, and I've never gone off. A number of journalists, I can think of two in my own organization, actually left Twitter. Ravish was here yesterday, he left Twitter. There's another colleague of mine, she left Twitter, right? Because they couldn't deal with the abuse and the vitriol and the venom. Now, it's romantic, I believe, to say that, oh, journalists are so anxious today because for the first time the whole space has been democratized and they don't get the right to be pompous and it isn't a one-way conversation. Yes, some of that is true. It's damned good that you guys can talk back at us, you can question us, we can talk at you. The dialogue is certainly more interesting than the monologue. There's no question of that. It's also very useful sometimes to have a volley of responses, good, bad, ugly, to something you do. But I'll tell you my problem with it. My problem with it is that journalists have become obsessed with being liked. Journalists are modulating their opinions so that they can be popular on Twitter. Journalists are self-censoring so they're not abused on Twitter. Journalists are not speaking their mind because, oh, this isn't the mood right now online, right? So my problem is not with the democratization of the space. My problem is how few of us are willing to be disliked. Why did I be a journalist? I became a journalist because I wanted to tell the stories that aren't told. I wanted to ask the questions that aren't asked. I wanted to be the bridge between people and complex issues and hoped to deconstruct them or simplify them to some degree. I got a lot of praise along the way. I got a lot of shit along the way. I believe the test of my being grounded as a journalist is that I take neither seriously. And what concerns me about several of my colleagues, whom I otherwise like and respect dearly, is that they can't take the pressure of the mob, because that's what it is. There's a lynch mob out there. And if you don't stand up to it, if you surrender to it because you want its approval, you have compromised on your intelligence, on your independence, and on your journalism.
As